Tuples in Python.
So the last few classes, what we discussed, it was with the list and sets. Today we left with another two data sets of Python. One is tuples followed by dictionaries. Dictionaries will cover it on Monday. Okay, thereby my part is over. Now what we can do, like we'll start with this tuples. This is one of the data structures. So what you need to understand in Python. Tuples are used. One second. These are used to store multiple items in a single variable, and this is one of the four data structures what we have at the store. Python uses to store collections of the data. One of those is this one. The other three are list, sets, and dictionary. As we know, this all with the different qualities and the usage. With each and everything has their own properties where we can use and all. Tuple is a collection of items. Even you can have the different items, which is harder and unchangeable. This is very important. Unchangeable means you cannot mute it. It is unmutable. Unmutable means like strings, you cannot change it. So whatever the data which is present in the tuples, once you create it, you cannot change it, but it is in the harder. So it means like you can access all the items by using the indexes, like index of 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. Like how we can access the elements in the list. Tuples are written or you can create by using this parenthesis. Okay. So how we can create this one is creating a tuple is this is the syntax to create a tuple. One second, somebody is trying to log in. I made it as auto admit. I, yes, they can find. Yeah. Now let us look into this one. A tuple is a collection which is an ordered and unchangeable, and this can be created by using this parenthesis, two round brackets. This is how we can create a tuple. Just give the elements here. It is this is a static creation. We'll call it as. This is how we can create statically the tuple with the three elements. All three elements are strings here. It is print this tuple. When you print it, this will be printed like this. Okay. A simple example to create a tuple. Next, tuple items are hardened and you cannot change it. That's what unchangeable means. It is immutable. You cannot change it. Cannot mute. You cannot change it and allow duplicate values. Okay, that is not true with your sets. What we discussed in the previous class. Set won't allow. While creating, you can have any number of items with the same number, but while printing, once it is printed, once it is created, it will remove all the duplicate items in the set. Okay, so that is what, and we discuss many functions which are related to the sets. That slide I will share in the group. Okay, so how we can get the union, how we can get the interest. I mean, okay, intersection of the two sets. We have discussed many methods which are related to that one. Next, we have tuple items are indexed. The first item that you can index like this. Okay, this is the name of the tuple by using this square brackets with the index number. Like this, you can have index of 1, 0, 1, 2, 3 up to n. When we say that the tuples are ordered, it means that the items have defined in order and the order will not change. Once you place an item like this, so this will be at okay, this tuple of 0, this tuple of 1, this tuple of 2, like in list. Okay, the order won't change. Fine. So the items you cannot change it. Items you cannot change it. Fine. This is what the meaning of the unchangeable. It is completely, it's immutable. That you cannot change, and you cannot add or remove items after the tuple has been created. So now let us understand this, and it will also allocate. I mean, like it allows duplicate items. So since they are indexed, they can have items with the same values. That is the property of these tuples. Only thing is like it is exactly similar to the all the properties of the list. One thing is you cannot change it. It is completely immutable. You cannot mute it. Create tuple with one item. This is very important, especially a unique feature with the tuple. While creating a tuple with only one item, you need to have the comma at the end of this one. Otherwise, if you forgot to put the comma, that will be treated as string. That's the one. Okay, you need to note it down. This is what the Python allows here. It is, but not in other programming languages. No other programming languages. Okay, it won't allow comma without any value after the comma. So you have to add a comma after the item. Otherwise, it will recognize the tuple. It will not recognize the tuple, and it will be treated as a string. Here it is. Let us look at this example. This is how you can create a tuple with one item or a single item. And this syntax, you already familiar with this one. How you can check the type of this tuple by using this type method. Type followed by this variable. Automatically that will display what is the type of this. This will automatically display this is a type of tuple. And this is not a tuple. You have not given the comma after this first item. We have only one item, and you must put if you are really want to create a tuple, it must end with a comma if it is only one item. Otherwise, that will be treated as string. Look at this one. When you type this and then run this code, this will display it's a string type object. So this you need to note down. Okay, while creating a tuple with one item, that must end with comma. That must end with comma. Tuple items and the data types. So here we have can be of any data type. Tuples can be of any data types. As we know this, it can be of strings, integers, or it can be boolean, or it can be float. You can create any tuple with any item. So only thing is like you cannot change it. Once you create it, you cannot add, you cannot remove. So that is the one thing. And this tuples can also be created by using a constructor. Okay, oh, you know that constructor is always the name of a function. Okay, this is one function. By using that, you can create a tuple. Let us look into this syntax, how you can create a tuple by using the constructor. Example is like using the tuple method, you can create a tuple. So we have the same sort of constructors for list as well as set, even for the dictionary. Okay, so look at this one. Here you need to note down this double parentheses, okay, round brackets, what you call as, that must be you need to take care here. It is like while creating a tuple, okay, because this is a function. Up to here it is a function, and this is what the parameter that you are passing as a tuple values. That's why two parentheses must be there. This is syntax to create a tuple by using the constructor tuple, and this is how you are printing that values. Just how we can access the values in the tuple. It is exactly similar to how you can access the values in the list. To access the values in the tuple, use the square brackets for slicing, okay, along with the index or indices to obtain value available at that index. Okay, so you can also question me like, what is the use of this tuple? Suppose I want to pass some data to my friend E or she, they should not change the value. Okay, at any cost, they should not change the values what I passed. Such Okay. In such a situation, what I will do, like I will put the values inside the tuple and will pass it. Okay. You can question me like, okay, what if some changes are required? What we need to do? We need to convert the tuple back into the list. Okay. Anyway, you know that lists are mutable. Then what we need to do? You can change that list. Okay. So you can modify the list, convert that modified list back into the tuple. Okay. Again, you restricted that one, or you or impose that they should not change it, and that converted list into the tuple, pass it on to the operations. This is what exactly the main advantage of this one is. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Now let us look into this. We have how we can access. You have created a tuple one and one more tuple called tuple two, tup1, tup2, and you are printing this one. Print tuple one of zero. Okay. So this is what tuple one of zero means. This physics will be printed here like this. This will be printed here. You can also slice like this. Look into this. You start from the index with the tuple 2, index 1. Index 1 means 2. This is where it will start. It will go up to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. As we know this. These are the 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we know that already. So 1 less than this second value when you given the values for the slicing. So 1 less than this upper index. So this is the lower index and this is the upper index. 1 less than this upper index, it will traverse. So it will go up to 4. So 4 means it will start at 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to this it will be accessed. That is what it is printed here, slicing. Updating tuples. How we can update the tuples? Anyway, we know this, we cannot change it. So let us see how we can do it. So tuples are immutable, that is what we understood. We cannot update, we change it. It means that you cannot update or change the values of the tuple elements. You are able to take portions of the existing tuples to create new tuples. This is exactly similar to how we can concatenate two strings, but we'll slice it and then concatenate those two strings, whatever you sliced it. Same thing we need to do with the tuple also. Let us understand this one. You created two tuples here. It is one with integer and float followed by two strings. So you are trying to change this tuple 1, this first value with the 100. This will leads to an error. If you try this code, you will end up with an error. That's what is given as following action is not valid for tuples. You cannot change it explicitly by assigning the value like this. So what we need to do, let us create a new tuple as follows. You have created tuple 3 is equals to tuple 1 plus tuple 2. Concatenation, you can do it. So that is what you can do it, but you cannot modify the existing tuples. The same thing holds good with your strings. You can do the concatenation of the strings by using the plus, but you cannot modify any content in the string. Strings are again immutable. So this is what the output you will get it with this operation. When you print it, you will print these things. Delete tuple elements. Okay, here also, as we know, this updation, deletion, additions won't happen. So what we need to do, you cannot delete the individual elements, you need to delete the whole tuple itself. So removing individual tuple elements is not possible, and there is of course nothing wrong in putting together another tuple with the undesired elements discarded. Look into this one, what we can do here. To explicitly remove an entire tuple, we need to use the delete statement here. Del statement is there that you can use. How we can use this? Created a tuple, here it is, printed the tuple. Okay, so this is what it is. When you print the tuple, this is how the output will come, here it is. The same way, like when you print the list will come in the square bracket. When you print the tuple, that will come in the parenthesis. So delete tuple, just give the name of the tuple, the complete tuple will be deleted. Look at this one, this is little interesting. After deleting the tuple, you are trying to print that. So there is no existence of this variable or called reference in the memory. RAM does not have the reference for this variable when you delete it. So it will be completely removed from the RAM area. RAM is memory. So that's why you can expect this error. When you try to print it, look at this one. Name tuple is not defined. It is not at all available once it is deleted. It is completely or permanently removed from the memory. These are the few basic tuple operations we have. What are these different operations we have? Tuples respond to the plus and star operators like strings, what we have. As we know this, plus and star are binary operators. When you deal with arithmetic operations to add two integers, to add two floating point numbers. So when you deal with the strings, usually we know this, we'll use this plus to concatenate two strings. The same way like star we used for the replications. So replication means until that the same string will be repeated so many times. That is what we understood in the previous class. Say for example, I have created a string, so followed by star, then followed by numbers. Those many times that will be repeated here. So I hope you can remember that what we discussed in the strings. Uh, might be during the list class, I have taken these things. Okay, if you want, I can go to that okay, spider and I can show you that small code how these things works with the strings also. So then, much like strings, the mean concatenation and repetition or the replication also holds good here. The result is a new tuple, not a string here. It is like that is what. Now let us look at this one. In fact, tuples respond to all of the general sequence operations we used on strings in the prior. Yeah, that is what. So all the operations, whatever it works with the strings, that also works here. It is. You can find the length of the tuple here. It is. Please note it down. It should be in the double brackets. Here it is. So again, you are concatenating two tuples. Concatenation. It is exactly similar to your what operation that you can work with your strings. Here, replication. High followed by exclamatory. This is a string, whatever it is enclosed inside the single quote, followed by, as we know this, once you create a tuple with one element, that should be end with semicolon. Sorry, comma. It should end with comma, and we want this string. It should be repeated 4 times. Okay, you can also question me like where is the actual application of these things. Suppose you want to scroll something with the same name of the organization or some business venture. You want to scroll for an advertisements. Such cases, what we can do, like we need to do all these things. The same thing should be repeated so many times. Next, we need to check it out whether this element is present in this tuple. The operation we have checked or we used in many places like strings as well as list. Okay, whether it is present or not. So if it is present, it will say like true. Then we can use this tuple to iterate through all the elements. Like a list, we have created a tuple with 3 elements. X is a iterator. Iterator means it's a variable which will keep getting individual values in each iteration. Okay. X in, okay, with the first iteration X becomes 1, and in the second iteration it will be 2. Like this, it will be repeated. So these are the few different operations that we have with the tuples. Next, we have indexing, slicing, and matrices. So let us look at this one. Tuples are sequences. Indexing and slicing work the same way for tuples as they do for the strings. So let us assume like you have created a tuple like this with the 3 elements. So L of 2 means it's a spam because offset starts at 0. So L of minus 2 is minus 1, minus 2. As we know, this because the backward propagation will call as, okay, will traverse from the backside. I mean, or like in the reverse direction. This is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Like that also you can traverse. It will be like whatever the operations that holds good with your list strings, here also it can access the elements like that. And as we know this, the meaning of this one is, okay, while slicing, if the first index is given and the second index is not given, it is understood that default it will go up to the end of the tuple here also. The same thing like with your list and strings. And if you are not given any indexes, just you are given only the colon, then it means that the whole list will be fetched here. The whole tuple will be fetched. Okay, these operations are. Or else suppose you are not given the first index and you are given the second index, default it starts from the 0 or it starts from the beginning and it will go up to 1 less than the second index. So this syntax we are already familiar with. It will start at 1, it will go up to the end. That is what it is here. Slicing, fetching the sections, fetches sections. Okay, whatever it is fetched, that will be sliced. Yes. So whatever we did so far, let's okay, understand these concepts once again with some more examples. Yeah, that's why I just put it as a recap. Whatever we understood so far, we'll understand with so few more examples. Fine. These tuples can store values of different data types and then duplicate values. Yeah, different data types, duplicate values. You have created a tuple A with the duplicate values and different types. It's a string, list, and this is an integer. Duplicate values, different values. And when you print it, this is what the output you will get. Look into this. You are checking the type of this tuple. That's why this is what the output you will get. Class tuple. You can also create these tuples without using the parentheses. This is one more interesting thing that you need to notice here. It is the sequence of the values separated by comma will create a tuple. Look into this. This is one more thing, like without parentheses also you can create a tuple. A is equals to 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 and type of A, this is a tuple. So that's why getting familiar with the Python syntax, it is not so easy, because if you know this is how you can create a tuple, and if somebody writes like this and if you don't know what is the syntax of this one, then it is not so easy to understand the code which is written by somebody else. This is cases like you will join a company and then you will work for a company for 2 years on Python, and you will quit the company, join other company. So Somebody has to join the company that you quit, and they have to work on the project where you worked. So they should be able to understand your code, how you have written and all. So that is a little bit challenging. You should be well versed with the syntax of the any language that you want to. Especially in Python, we have variant syntaxes. That is the one thing. Little complex. Complex means a little challenging sometimes to understand the code which is written by somebody else. That's why the best practice is always try to write a comment. Okay, for the code or for the methods. Usually, that is a coding standard in the industry. What you need to do, you need to write. Okay, if you have defined any function, you need to write the header for this. That is a comment. Okay, we need to define the comment. Okay, here we have a document called as the three double quotes. In the three double quotes, we can write the document. That is the I mean like the not executable code it is, that will clearly define that what are the different parameters you are passing into that function, or what exactly you are getting out of that function as an output. So thereby, if I joined as a company when you left it, I can easily understand your code and I can continue on that project. So I hope you understood what is the one thing that you need to take care as a programmer. Fine. We can also create tuples without using the parentheses that we understood. Now let us creating a tuple with 0 or 1 element. This is an empty tuple. Okay, this is an empty tuple. When you print it, like we can have this type of A is a tuple. Here there's a little trick to create a tuple with one element. You need to put a comma after the, that is what we discussed already. So that's why I told this, it's just a recap, whatever we discussed once again. One, this is okay. So when you look at this one, this treats in a different way. Like sometimes it will be string, sometimes it will treat it as a int like this. Yeah, that's why when you create a tuple with a list like this, print type as b. Suppose you look at this one, this will be treated as an int because we have an integer type. Yeah, if it is a string, suppose in place of this tree, if the three is enclosed in single quotes, if the three is enclosed in single quotes without a comma, that will be treated as a string. Because since it is integer, it is an int. Looking at this, this is a list, but you put this list inside this parenthesis, but still it will be treated as list because you have not put the comma at the end of this, only one element. How we can make this as tuple? This is the syntax you need to follow as we discussed. And as we discussed and understood, tuples can hold any data type, either it can be int, float, string, or it can be other data structures like list. Yeah. Tuples are iterable, means you can traverse through the elements of the tuple. For IEA print, yeah. So suppose if I ask you to like this, create a tuple with some elements and then convert all the contents of the tuple, like square all the contents of the tuple and print it. But you are not changing the elements. You cannot change. Look at this. Just you access the first element, squared it, printed. You have not changed this one. After this operation, after the for loop, if you try out to print a, this will be as it is, 1, 2, 3. Because as the property of the tuple, we know that we cannot change it. Fine. Indexing and slicing. So this also we looked into this one. You have created tuple with different elements, repeated elements like 5 and 5. Okay. Print the first element of the tuple A is, okay, and then we have okay, last element is first element and the last element. Slicing is like this. Okay, we have -2. Okay, -2 means you know that -1, -2, and it will go up to the end. -2 from this one. Okay, -2, and it will go up to the end. So that is what the next index you have given here it is. So suppose in this, look at this one, -2, and it will go up to end. That is what, because the second index value are not given, so 6 and 7 are taken here it is. As I told you, the default it will be start at 0 index, that will go up to 2 here it is, because if you mention 3, one less than this one is 2. So 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. Tuples are immutable and can have mutable elements. That property of the tuple is immutable, but you can have the mutable elements, like list is the mutable element. Okay, so that's what it is. You can have the list as an element here, it is that you can change it. Immutability might be the most identifying feature of the tuples. We cannot assign to the individual items of a tuple. Look at this, we cannot change it. Tuples can contain mutable elements such as list. Look into this. A is equals to first element and second element. Okay. 0 means this one. As we know this, A of 0 is the first element. And inside this list, this 0 means this is the first element. Inside this first element, again we have this index. That's why this is how we can access. So you are changing this, okay, 1 into the 99. 1 into the 99. Again, A of 1 means this list, A of 1, because this is 0 and this is 1. And inside this list, the index 0 is x. So 1 of 0 means this is. So you are changing x to t, changing x to t. After you print it, this is what the changes, because lists are mutable, whereas the whole tuple is immutable. So since this element, if it is an individual element, not a list, then you cannot. Okay, if it is not a list, then you cannot change it like this. So this was the observation. Please note it down. Uh, Tuples can contain mutable elements. This is very important. It means like immutable. Tuples are immutable, but it can contain mutable elements. You can change it. Sort versus sorted. Since tuples are immutable, we cannot sort it out. Sort means arranging in a sequence, either in the ascending or descending order. So, since you cannot change it, because when you sort it, what is going to happen? Like this element has to come to the last, and this should go to the first one, then this should. So you are changing the positions. Obviously, those values got changed. Okay, that's why since you cannot change it, it won't allow this. It won't support this property of sorting. So you'll get an error here. This if you try to sort it. However, sorted function can take a tuple as argument, okay, and returns a sorted list of the values in the tuple. And you need to note down that one. It does not return a sorted tuple. The type of the return value is a list. Look into this. Here, this is what the tuple you have created here, and we have a method called sorted, and you pass this tuple as parameter here. When you print B, this returns a list here it is. This returns a B is a list here it is. That is what you can notice here. List means it will be in square bracket. This tuple not yet changed. If you try to print A, it will print as it is 3587. But this function that returns a list, okay, by using this list, you can process the data as per our requirement. Okay, the type of the okay, that is what you need to note on here. Type of B is a list here it is. So we have the function called length. This we already discussed. Okay, just to okay once again refresh. We are going through some of these examples. How we can get the length of the tuple is by using len of a. A is equals to 30. Obviously, three elements. It will give the count and index methods. Here, tuples have count and index methods. The count method returns number of occurrence of any element. Say for example, we have two elements of the X here it is. So this also count also works with your list. So this is very important. As I told you, say for example, I have 60 students in my section, and I have created some Google form to get your information. Someone of you have entered twice or thrice the same USN numbers, and I have not sorted. Then what I need to do? So I need to find out like okay how many times each USN number has occurred. So then this will help me like if I use the count, I will come to know that how many times each USN number has occurred. So it means like it is repeated. So the same USN has repeated. This is one of the applications where you can use such things. And one is there. Look at this one. 111. So this also helps me like how many times one has occurred. If you use the X has occurred twice, one has occurred thrice. Count. Okay. And these things you can also widely use in data analytics once you start with the project. Okay, this count and all based on the data that you've chosen. Yeah. The index method returns index of a value in the tuple. Look at this. Suppose I want to know that where exactly this element is present, then I can get this position of this one. Okay, I want to find that some particular value in a list in a tuple, that will help me by using this index. Yeah. So index of one is zero. Also, you can question me like, okay, why x we have here it is, but still it is given. Okay, the index will return the first occurrence of the element. Index of the first occurred element. That is what it is going to be written here. Fine. Yeah. If you one second. Next, if a value exists multiple times in a tuple, that is what the index returns here. It is the first occurrence. Here it is one because it is occurred at the index zero. Sorry, index one, and this is at 2, 3, 4. It is, but first occurrence it will be returned here. Adding tuples together. Okay, this is concatenation. As we already learned this one, this operation works here. It is you have created two tuples a plus b and printed here. It is this is how you can add it. Next operation is functions that return multiple values. One of the most common use case of the tuple is with functions that return multiple values. Okay, this one more advantage of the tuples here is this function takes an array and returns the sum and the count of items in it. Look into this. You have created, you know that the diff is a keyword here. It is to define any functions. Define is a keyword to create functions in Python. So the name of the function is count sum, and you're passing an array here. It is like ARR is a name of the array. Okay, one second. Yeah, that is okay. The best way of understanding any program is like somebody has written. You need to straight away start with the main part of the program. Then you need to try to analyze the functions. Okay. So here what we need to do, this is what the function that you defined. What exactly the function will do, you have passed an array, here it is. Find an array and then a sum of all the elements in an array. Return the count, comma, sum. Okay, count will give you the length of the, how many elements are there and total sum of all the elements. This is what you are doing here. It is return more than one element. That is one advantage here it is. Yes. How we can do it? Call this import numpy because we need to generate some random numbers by using this random.randint. Random.randint. Okay, even straight away you can import this random package module also. Import numpy as np. Np contains random.randint. You can create randomly the integers. Okay, with the 10 integers you can create here it is. Maximum you can create 10 integers with a mod of 8. Fine. So now let us look into this. You are calling this function by passing this array. Calling this function with calling this by passing this array. Array you have created here. Numpy means you know that there is a one module that we use extensively to create a dilute array of any dimension. Okay. Now you have created an array of size 8. Okay. Then 10 integers you have been like randomly to create with the mod 10. Then what we need to do here is like we have passed this array, print an array. Okay, you pass this one, now it will give the size. What is that size? Not here it is the total length. Total means how many elements are there, and then followed by the total sum of that elements. Yes. Look into this. The total length or the total number of elements that is present in an array are 8, and the total sum, because we don't know like what elements it has generated, you can print also that one. Randomly it is generated. The size what you have given here it is like 8, and the total sum here is 39. That is what it is done by your function. So main objective of this slide here is like you need to understand you can return more than one value. Okay, and you can also print this one. So whatever it is written here, look into this. It has a, and you printed a. By looking into the output of this A, you will come to know that it is a tuple because it is surrounded by parentheses. Also, you can check it out. What is the type of this A? Straight away, it will display. It's a type class tuple. Tuples and list are collection of the values, and the most significant difference is the immutability. That is what I told. Major difference between this list and tuples, it is immutable. Tuples are immutable, whereas lists are mutable. Due to the immutability, copying tuples and lists are different. Okay, we need to be a little careful when copying list. They are mutable. Look into this. We have three ways to copy a list and assign a new variable. This is what you have created a list here. It is x is equals to y, x, all the elements here also, because you are not given any index. Default, it will select all the elements and assign to this z. X dot copy. All these three operations are doing the same thing. Okay. The values of 1, 2, 3 are assigned to y, z, and t. Let us understand what is the major difference between these three operations in the next slide. Look into this. The list y, z, and t, y, z, and t, these three, y, z, and 3, it should contain all these three. So, what is the difference? We'll understand. Contain the same values of x, that is 1, 2, 3. However, y points to the values of x. Y points to the values of x, whereas z and t are totally different list. Very important to understand this diagram. Here it is. Look into this. Y x mean like we have, yeah, y is equal to x means you are creating a reference of y to the x. X means reference means pointers. If you're already the idea of pointers, probably you can understand this one. What is this one is like? Suppose if you change anything, like, okay, since it's a list, let us assume like x of 0 means 1. If you say like x of 0 is equals to 5 and you print y of 0, the expected output is also 5. It means that both are pointing to the same thing. You're creating a reference of x to y. So both are pointers here. It is like, so it means like this operation x is equal to y. It is you're creating a reference, not the copy. You're not creating the complete copy in the memory. Okay, so there is no other copy. It is just a reference. So you should be very careful that once you create a list by using this operation, if you modify any element by using this x, it will also reflect in y. Got this point? Hello? Hello? It's audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. I hope you understood this one. Yeah, nice. Next, what we can do, that is not true with these two operations. Just look at this one. This slicing, it will create a separate memory space for this variable. Even the copy method also creates a separate memory space for this variable. Look at this. Z and T are completely a separate memory space. That is not true with this assignment operator. Please remember this is very important from the point of, okay, understanding with reference to the list. When you create, when you copy this one, how exactly it happens internally. Okay, assignment operation creates a reference, whereas slicing and copy method creates a separate copy of these items. Okay, any change, okay, that you can understand here, it is any change in x. Suppose I added x dot append, you added 4. Okay, that also updated with y because both are references or pointers. So you added this element to the element 4 to the list x, but when you print y, that also be printed here. So, but when you print t or z, it won't get affected. Okay, it will not be affected. Both x and y are pointing to same memory location. If you modify this either through x or y, that will be updated here. Fine. Next, yeah, that won't affect the t or z. We need to be very careful while copying the list. However, we should not have the same concern with the tuples because they are immutable. This concept is not true with your tuples. Copy a tuple and assign it to a new variable, they all point to the same values in the memory. Look into this because immutable. You cannot change it. So A, B is equals to A, C is equals to slicing. Whatever you do it, okay, and you know that copy does not work as we discussed. Okay, copy function does not. Since it is not a sort won't work. And next we have ABC. All these things are pointing to the same memory location. So that is not true with your list. Unlike list here, whatever you do, all these variables are pointing to the same memory location. Yeah. So this is an end of this tuples, and we understood the concept of tuples. It is completely immutable, and whatever the operations that are supported with the strings are also supported here, even with the list. Or also we can access the element, or we can add, and we can concatenate two tuples. What are the different ways of creating a tuple? We understood those things. Fine.